Okay, cool. So to get started today, I wanted to share a thought that we had during our team sync last Friday. And I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts in here on it too. In general, we feel like we're actually getting some pretty good traction, and we got some compliments on the discussions and posts that have happened over the past couple of weeks. So, because I think our like kind of power user incentive program is actually sort of working. I know, Anton, you've done a lot of really good stuff, so it's definitely getting noticed. But with that being said, we've had kind of like the dictate from on high that the quality of the website is not high enough, and that we need to start implementing some type of programs in order to hit a higher quality bar with their new feature releases. So we have a couple of plans to do that we can run past you guys. But in the kind of first thing I'd like to ask is like, what do you all think about the quality of the website so far when it comes to like bugs and like being able to like understand how new features work? Do you agree that the quality could be higher? Just kind of curious to take a general temperature on that.
I think it's it's good enough to be honest. Like maybe it's my bias because as in open science we frequently use these products that are unfinished or like tested on us basically because it's so new. But this one I think it's very serviceable. Like I can do anything I want on the website as it is right now, to be honest.
What do you mean by quality?
That's great to hear. Does it?
What do you mean by quality?
So one example is sometimes when we release new features, people have issues like signing in with like the Google sign-in. I know Nick, when he first started to use the website, like had some issues like actually like joining, and so he like joined the Slack group and then messaged us, and we were able to fix those wrinkles. But it's kind of an issue if we were to try and be used by a wider audience. Like if we were to make a partnership with like a medical school or something and say, hey, all of your researchers should use ResearchHub. Like if 30% of people have issues signing in, it kind of reduces confidence in the application. So kind of like small issues that might pop up, I think is kind of what we're hoping to wrinkle out perfectly.
Yeah, I guess I would expand on that more so of like when you're using the site, do you feel like, oh, there's something I want to do that I can't do, or like, oh, there's a bug, or like, oh, if the site feels unfinished, like parts of the site don't feel completely finished. Like, do you guys have that feeling sometimes?
I mean, I do, but it's not. See, it's hard to distinguish it from the software development perspective to like the feature development perspective. Like right now, we are going to discuss the bounty system, right? And the site is not equipped to handle this
right,
kind
of. There's no
bounty.
Yeah, right.
But it's not.
I would
because,
say right. What I would say is like
bad.
right when you're using the website, are there moments where you feel like, oh, the website is buggy? Let's say like there's some. Like either it's loading too slowly or like there's some, when you click on something like, oh, an error happens. Like, do you guys feel like this is happening? And if it is, do you feel like it's happening often?
Yeah, originally it was a couple weeks ago that I tried to sign in with Chrome and it wasn't working. And then I tried it last week as well. And it also, like the sign in with Google was grayed out, but I've been mostly using it on Safari, which isn't my browser of choice, but it works well there. So I'm not sure if that's been looked at or if it's been if it's still the case.
Yeah.
With Chrome.
Yeah. Do you have like a ad blocker or some kind of thing on Chrome?
I mean, I
like blocking JavaScript.
Incognito, maybe that's it.
Yeah, but it doesn't work in incognito.
Yeah,
that's a known issue. the sign-in doesn't work in incognito.
I've also had the same issue just with regular Chrome, not incognito.
Yeah.
So I think it's more widespread.
Any other kind of thoughts on that side?
Yeah, when I used a Chrome browser, it lags quite some time. When you just click on a paper, it takes some time to load. It's not like that big kind of a problem, but it doesn't look like I have to say, like there's put that much work into everything, but it looks like it still needs a lot of work because it has lags. The servers are maybe not running quite up to speed and stuff.
Yeah, how much lag do you usually get? Is it like more than a couple seconds, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, like 10 seconds?
Yeah. Sometimes it's more than 5 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
It's probably because of the active features that makes the text, right? I think it looks really complicated on the processing and connection,
Yeah.
Like if you open a page and there is no text in this format that you can edit, then it's really fast.
Yeah, this is a known issue that we're gonna clean up in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
It also feels like the PDF, the paper PDF at the very bottom of the page, it's like rarely anything. Most of the time, it's just an error message for me.
Yeah.
Maybe just remove it for now.
Yeah, because we're trying to link to other people's sites, and some people don't like that, and then they don't allow us to do so. So
no, maybe if you can get rid of the preview itself, if it's like an error.
Yeah.
So our overall plan for the next 4 weeks is to really try and clean up some of the functionality and reduce some of those lag times. So one thing we would like to do, if you guys are interested, is any bug you report on the GitHub issues, the public discussion forum, we'll send you 50 RSC. So the idea is like anytime anything comes up where you're even the tiniest bit annoyed, like it's taking too long, like you can't download the PDF, just throw it into the GitHub issues, and that'll help us really create a list of everything that we could possibly fix and try and, on the other side of this month, have a product where everything's super snappy and works as you expect it to, like 99% of the time.
I think it would be really helpful if you could write like just a few paragraphs for people who have never used GitHub, like how maybe post it on Slack and even make it accessible somewhere on ResearchHub itself, like about us page, or I don't know, somewhere that you can report a bug. To do so, you need to do this, and that. And here are the links. And if you'll do that, you'll get 50 RSC. Because right now, not a lot of people know how to do it.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I just drafted a Notion page that I put in the chat here, which doesn't have like the exact instructions on how to go through GitHub and add an issue, but I can add some images and like screenshots showing that.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and obviously like the bug needs to be like a new bug and not like probably like a duplicate of an existing one.
Yeah, for sure. I'll put this like publicly too, but I think this is mostly for the people who are like pretty involved in the project, who like we hopefully don't have to worry about spamming the GitHub issues. Okay, cool. So another thing that I want to talk about is how do you guys feel about like the power user program so far? I'd love to hear like top overall thoughts. I have results from the last week where Anton did 7 posts, 9 discussions. Nick, who had 6 posts, 3 discussions, and Philip had 5 and 5. And overall, I think that's pretty awesome. Like I said, Brian specifically said that he thought that there was a lot more activity going on the platform. And so while our weekly active users aren't up like a ton, like the discussions and posts are. So overall, we got a bunch of compliments because of that. So we'd love to hear what you guys think so far.
It feels a little lonely, to be honest. Like at this point, I only interacted with Philip, and it was actually, he pointed out that, maybe was a little bit too clickbaity in the editor titles, which is fine. But it's kind of, I think maybe if it would be possible at all, maybe we can introduce some other type of thing power users can do, maybe like interacting with each other, like commenting each other's papers, or trying to like reiterate someone's question, not necessarily answer it because we might lack expertise, but at least respond to it, like clarify it or something.
Yeah, definitely. So you're saying add like another category of rewards that's like respond to someone else's comment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because right now, I was just submitting interesting papers, and it was weird to write a discussion starter questions. I was like, oh, I wish people would discuss this with me, and then no one ever replies. So I kind of stopped at some point, and I was, just maybe summarizing or introducing a relevant concept or something like this, which is not maybe the best expected comment type. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe we could say instead of just any type of comment, it could be a discussion starter, and a paper, and then a reply to a discussion starter.
Yeah.
What do you think the reward size for that should be?
I don't know, plus 30% if it's a new type. We have 2 activities right now. It's going to be third activity. So wait, not plus 30, plus 50%. Wait. Okay, I'm a psychologist, not a mathematician. It's plus 50%, right?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I think that's it definitely makes it a lot more fun to talk about. I know Brian posted a paper about longevity that George Church did, where it was like some new like viral vector to have multiple genes in a gene therapy. And Ari responded today. And so you're right, having like some back and forth, I think would definitely be worthwhile. Do you all have any other thoughts? I can add that to the reward structure, and then we can do that for the next week. I'll also like publish a blog with this too, so that way we can hopefully get a few more people who are participating in it.
What did we decide on the comment of the week voting thing? Because now that I think, maybe the comment of the week doesn't highlight, us as a collective. It's a little bit maybe against the spirit of ResearchHub. So what we can do is we can maybe find the most interesting or prominent discussion thread, and award all everyone involved in discussion thread equal share, or however you're gonna split it.
I love that. That's such a great idea. So we could do like 1,200 for the best discussion thread, split through everyone who participates. That's an awesome idea. Does everybody feel good about that for the next week?
Is there a way to get pinged by the activity by email? Because I honestly don't check ResearchHub every day. So I just need to kind of reminded to do the action. I'm happy to do so, but I completely missed out this opportunity.
Yeah, we need the tagging system. Is it coming along?
We could probably add it.
Tagging in comments? Yeah, we can.
People in comments, yep.
Yeah. It's probably gonna take us a week to build it, I think. Yeah. Yeah, we could probably get it out in a week, I would say.
I think that actually would be pretty cool, because that would to be able to add a person and then have them receive an email and say, hey, I want your opinion on this, X person. That would definitely be a good way to get conversations going.
Yeah, that's how the conversations typically start for me on other social media. I rarely come in and just jump in with random people I don't know. Someone usually summons me.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Nick, were you having trouble getting into the Notion? I've got it set to anyone on the internet, but if it's not working, I can
Yeah, it said
invite you.
I needed permission.
Okay. I'll figure it out after the call and then send it to you in a DM. Cool. And so the last thing I want to chat about, and I think this is probably the most interesting, is Nick, your idea when it comes to creating bounties for specific types of research. If you don't mind, I'd love to hear just kind of like your first top level thoughts on how that could potentially work.
Yeah, so my thought behind it was, so if I wanted to see a certain articles about a certain topic that aren't readily available on the site, I could write sort of a request or like an announcement for someone to write about the topic, and then someone could just submit it and get coins as a reward. I was thinking sort of like the Stack Overflow bounty system, which has a lot to be desired in terms of incentives, because pricing sometimes is not right. But in this case, we could do things a little differently.
So this feels like it would fit pretty well with the hypothesis evidence graph we were talking about last week, where you could like ask a question and then put a bounty on it and have people like create, mini review papers to answer that question, with sources cited. This is kind of interesting. There's a tool that I just posted in the chat here called BioMindMap. And the idea here is it's kind of like a manual way to track relationships between different things in biomedicine. An example would be like exercise increases or decreases like blood pressure, for instance. And so you can do this for like all kinds of different like compounds. Like you could say like, blueberries increase antioxidants or something like that. And I was chatting with the person behind this, and they had actually received bounties from people who just gave cash to their user base to say like, hey, I want to learn about metformin. Like, teach me everything that metformin, increases or decreases. And like, there was actually demand from random people out there who just wanted to see like the biochemical relationships that exist from metformin. So I'm curious, does that kind of seem similar to what you're asking? Like, I guess this is kind of a complicated thing, because I've always thought about it too, as in like, for instance, I want to see more meditation research. So I'd like to put $1,000 onto meditation as a whole field, and just slightly increase the reward that might come out of anybody publishing anything around meditation. So like, that's pretty different than what BioMindMap does, and different than like putting a bounty on a specific question. So a little bit of a rant there, but like lots of ways that this could be implemented. And I think a couple different ways where it could actually provide cool value to the scientific ecosystem in general. So yeah, curious what everybody else thinks.
So I'm looking at this BioMindMap, and it's interesting, right? Because they are providing clerical function, not scientific functions. They're essentially like, there are 2 articles that support this claim. I don't know if they even like, if you do open these articles, do you buy into this claim? Do you like the method? Is providing the necessary evidence or something? I have responded to Nicholas in Slack, and to be honest, like, I am pro decentralization, but I think it's unreasonable to expect it to be like free market. Like, we will need some subcommittees or like some clusters of power users who will take on the responsibility to administrate this money. Someone will need to do it, right? Because otherwise people will cheese the system so much, right? There will need to be real people looking into these requests, and maybe people with experience in like research design. Like, for example, you wanted more research on meditation and health benefits, right? And this committee will need to figure out how to even pose a research question that will allow you to answer this particular, to find more evidence for meditation, right? Because like, if imagine you'd be like, okay, I will give 500,000 research coin to anyone who gives me solid proof that meditation has any health benefits. And and someone will just come in and be like, okay, hey, you meditate within an hour, healthy bowel movement. Okay, give me my money. Give me my money, right? Because they satisfy the condition, right? And if you don't specify it like really in detail, it might lead to some unexpected results.
Yeah, maybe if the results fit into certain categories, like what we were talking about before 2 weeks ago, about sort of like research paper category or post or conference proceeding or whatever. So maybe dividing sort of what's expected as a result that would like need to fit into that category. The way I was thinking about this, so it's sort of in line with that website, but also like from a geographical standpoint, like if I wanted to see, there's a lot of papers on Lyme disease, but not enough in a certain geographical area. So like information about Lyme disease in North Carolina, for example. So that's where I was going with this, but it could fit this other format as well.
So do you want people to make a post where they list all the relevant research, or do you want them to travel to North Carolina and conduct the field research about it?
Like you could choose basically I want a research paper on this, or I want a good written post or a conference proceeding on this, or something along those lines, or a data set. And sort of the offshoot of this idea would be like sort of what VitaDAO does, where they have these sort of groups that decide where to place funds on which type of research. And so basically when whomever decides to complete that research, they get, in exchange for the IP, they get tokens. So perhaps not for research papers, but for like data sets. I think it's something that could be easily applied to.
Are you thinking maybe like a suggested methods with a bounty attached, where it's like, hey, here's the experiment that I want to see. Anybody who creates data using these methods, you'll get the bounty that's attached to it.
Right, something like that.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of what Open Science Framework did with their pre-registration bounty, where they gave $1,000 to anybody who shared a pre-registration and then actually followed up with the data afterwards. So I could see a system where like maybe you create a bounty, or like there's a crowdsourced bounty, and then some researcher says, hey, I'll do this experiment. They get like 30% of the funds up front or something. And then like if the other 70%, once they produce the data and the people who left the bounties are like, yeah, this is exactly what we wanted. Cool, signed off.
Wait. I think the devil's in details here. What do you mean by this experiment? If it's a perfectly described experiment with all the procedures, it has already been done. If it hasn't been done, it's probably not all the details are already specified, right? So the authors will have to interpret what you want from them. And your interpretation might not fit with what they will find, right? Or how they will conduct it. So will you be free to be like, no, I don't like the outcome of this experiment, I'm not actually going to give you my money. Or are you obligated to do it?
I think maybe we could borrow from FAST grants, where they just said, hey, we want COVID research. And you have to send 4 paragraphs describing what you want to do, and then we'll send money to the people who do that. And I think they actually had checkpoints where you had to send an update every month, and when you sent that update, they would send the next month's worth of funding or whatever. And so I could see a system where if Nick's like, hey, I want to learn about Lyme's disease in North Carolina, it could be a call for potential, experimental methods. And then Nick and all the other people who wanted that could get together, decide which one they wanted to fund, and then have some type of escrow fund releases as people provided updates to, the data collection for the methods that they chose.
That is perfect. However, this already implies the existence of these invisible experts. Who is reading these paragraphs and who is actually deciding whether you get the money or not? And we will need to somehow create an institution or some sort of strategy through which we will guide people into nominating themselves as experts. Because otherwise, who knows, right? Who knows who promised what and whether it was delivered? I don't have expertise in COVID. I don't know if the promise was delivered by the research group. I think what Nicholas actually said earlier, that it might be a post. I think it might be easier and less involving, rich infrastructure with experts and stuff. So what we can do is one of the type of the posts would be a request, a topic request. I would like someone to write a decent post, right, a review of these topics with all the I don't know, citing the relevant research, answering this question with illustrations and everything. And what you can do is you kind of you can freeze the amount of money, the research coin from your account, and you can't spend this research coin anywhere else but donated to the topics that will be to then the posts that will try to answer your question. Imagine there will be 10 of them, right? Because people saw that you want to share 1 million research coin. And then it's up to you to decide whether you want to give it to all of them to one, or spread them equally between the 10, but you can't spend them elsewhere because you already promised, right? And other people can upvote your post and maybe add more money to this fund, right?
I agree with you, Anton, but only partly because, if I would, for instance, Nicholas has a nice idea, and me and my co-workers at the lab, we think, yeah, that's a nice idea. But then some other group pops in, and they go and they receive all the funds, and we wasted all our resources. And then it's yeah, if it's not really a contract, but still you invest quite a lot. And then in the end, you end up empty-handed because maybe you can't really publish the work you've done, and you don't get any funds from it. So,
okay. So you're saying that two groups can start working on simultaneously, and one finishes a little early and gets all the money, and the other one's
yeah.
Okay. So
how would you say first come first served? You
right.
can work on the idea first, but then again, yeah, you don't really get multiple people involved. But on the other hand, if you get multiple people involved, then some people might end up oh yeah, I won't do this again.
How about there is going to be 2 stages? One is the bidding stage when people can add more money and enlist as they want to deliver. They want to write a post about it. Let's say it's a week. And by the end of the week, we have a total fund of money, and we have however participants we have, right? So 5, whatever. And what we can do is, I think we can like basically split it. So let's say 50% of the funds are gonna be distributed among these 5 contenders, no matter what, right? Unless like the quality of, or like I don't know, we involve judges and be like, yeah, no, this is not good enough to even be considered contestant. But then the remaining 50%, the requesters are free to give to whoever they liked most. So it takes best from both worlds, right? First, no one's going to leave empty-handed, but then we also give the people who contribute money this feeling of power and agency, right? That they can actually shape the landscape of science, and which is, I think, the type of high where we will attract, right? This is a motivation of a typical funder in ResearchHub, I think.
I like this idea a lot because it seems like a really good foot in the door to get into research grants, where if you're creating grants for like kind of small review papers, like, you know, you can wrinkle out some of the issues to then eventually get to the point where you're creating grants for actual research projects. So it seems like a culture of like, hey, let me put a bounty on something I want in science. Like asking for research papers to answer a question is a great first step towards that. Cool. So we're a little bit over now. Do you guys have anything else for us for the next week?
Just wanted to clarify something. So we're talking about this, and I really like the idea. Like pretty much everything was talked about is really interesting, but it is different. There are at least 2 different categories of ideas here, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So there is one category, which is, here is some question I have. Like, you know, like Joyce, the examples that you gave about blueberries, antioxidants, or whatever, related to the hypotheses, right? Draw from information that already exists, link to it, and basically prove or disprove the claim. And then there is the other thing that we just talked about, which is, here is a thing, and you need to prove it by doing some kind of an experiment and publish some data set. And I'm not sure like I got it right. I just wanted to confirm these are indeed 2 different categories.
Yeah, the first one, I think you can already implement today, like if you have the necessary technology, you know, modifying this website. The second one needs to be thought through like extensively. I think the other people will need to be hired. Actual experts will need to be hired. Will need to be on the payroll, at least for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one would be so instead of you finding an article and then giving coins to the author, it would be the coins would be waiting for that person to upload that article. And yeah, the second one's a separate one, but also along sort of the same idea.
It sounded to me that you wanted it to be more than just upload an article. Maybe create a post where you link, you know, like 5, 12 different articles and create a narration in which you guide the reader to, you know, be, you know, convinced by your point that, you know, meditation either works, doesn't work, or blueberries, you know, improve sight or something.
Yeah, there could be like different combinations of like requests.
Yeah.
And I think, Kobe, if we got number 1 right, we could create like kind of a repeatable behavior that could lead to number 2 over time.
Yeah, totally. I'm thinking, so one thing that wasn't super clear, and I know we're over maybe like another couple of minutes. So let's say I click claim, and basically some people are gonna like start linking to some scientific papers, and I know we can't use like excerpts within the papers because that's like a no-no. That's okay. So let's say they link to it, and we touched on it, but I didn't quite get it 100%. How do you guys have any idea about like how do we verify that the linked paper actually supports or disproves the claim that was made? Like, is it, because, obviously people can game it. I can have like my own cohort be like, hey, come upvote my paper so I get some points or something like that.
So someone applauded the machine learning algorithm that's supposed the cited or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On ResearchHub recently, but they don't. Like even in science, it's a very prevalent problem. Like especially if there are like 60 citations in the introduction alone, no way people verify all of them. Even the reviewers, I guarantee reviewers do not click every single citation and be like, oh, is this what's really written there? So hopefully, I think maybe we keep it short for the time being. Maybe like limit, and not limit, but maybe propose that people share no more than like 10 links in their discussion, and then definitely leave the comments open so people can come in and actually like that's not what it says in citation number 3, and maybe introduce some sort of like time period for which the awarded funds are going to be frozen. Maybe like you can't withdraw. Yeah, you got it. Thanks for the review, but we'll take like 2 weeks for users to skim through your stuff, and maybe if someone leaves a critical comment that you need to like rewrite it or adjust it, if you don't address it, you don't actually get the money or get less. So leave it up to vigilant users, basically.
For users that like don't deliver, you could have like a rating system. So basically, if they,
yeah, that's such a good idea. Thanks, Nicholas.
If they don't deliver 3 times, they get banned.
Sorry, they don't deliver what? So the claim was made. People post some stuff. What do you mean by they don't deliver like 3 times?
So let's say they just post an article just to fulfill the upload and get the coins. If the article doesn't really match what the question is,
right,
then they get a low rating, basically.
Right, they actually lose. Yeah,
it's reactive, but
like got it.
It would be effective in the short term.
Yeah, maybe make it like a separate reputation, not the upvote reputation from the same one, right? And I don't even know if you should ban them, but if someone will request something else in the future, and they will see that one of the contenders has a negative billion rating, maybe they, maybe we have some veto process where you don't want people to be one of the contenders,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. That actually makes a lot of sense, and I think it does make sense to keep the reputation separate from like RSC and things like that. Got it.
Yeah, it seems to fit really well with the feature we're building this quarter. So I think we could definitely get something like that in within the next couple of months. Cool. Does anybody else have anything else? We're about 10 minutes over now.
Like one small thing, just to close everything off. I like, I think I've said it a couple of times, but on the mind map, you see like the intro on top. I like this kind of feature, and I really think that's lacking on the ResearchHub page. With the help page, it's too much of a hassle still to like get what ResearchHub is all about. And when you click on the intro, it's just one page with some videos on them, just briefly introducing what's all about. I think that's really nice. Should have it on ResearchHub as well, in my opinion.
Wait, where do you see it? You mean the short abstract, or what do they have?
It's like an about, like bio.
I just put the link in the message.
/intro.
You see, like if I click
intro.
here.
Is it a guide page?
Yeah.
Oh,
intro.
So this is a passive onboarding option, right?
Yeah.
Is it the videos that you like the most about this page? What is it specifically?
Yeah, just everything in total. I don't like dozens of videos. Usually I just watch maybe one or two, but just a brief introduction. I mean, like when you go to ResearchHub, you can click like create a new post or add a new paper. But why would I do so? Why? What's in it for me? What? Or why do the people want me to add a paper? How to do it? I know it's easy, but still, maybe just a sentence or two.
Yeah, I agree. I think we discussed that, right? When we were considering options for onboarding. Yeah, it's still unclear why people should, like, even the power user thing. I think it's hard to discover. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. We could definitely include some more information there. One, and this may be a little bit too in the weeds, but one perspective that people have here is if you have to explain your product, then it's not good enough. And so it should be as simple to use as possible, where you don't need additional explanations in order for people to understand. Like if you guys are asking for us to make a video, that's more of a comment on we need to make ResearchHub simpler and easier to understand in the UI. Then we should make a video, is what some people think. But in general, I think science is more complicated than like Instagram or something like that. So maybe that doesn't necessarily apply to what we're trying to build, but there's sort of like two perspectives there of like, if people are asking for more information, it's because it's not easy enough to use yet. But we could also provide the information. And if we get growth because of that and more buy-in from people, there's no hard and fast rules. So it definitely could be valuable.
I see. So in ideal world, the interface is so intuitive, you don't even need a page like that.
Exactly.
How about, like, right now, the incentive, like earning research coin is not something people, I think, learn how to do easily. How about if you remake the new post button in the top right and make it like earn research coin, and then if you click it, it's gonna unfold into create a post, upload a research paper, post a comment, maybe add it as, I don't know what it's gonna lead to. Maybe it's gonna lead to like browser of latest activity or like something. So basically you need a list of every single thing you can do on the website to earn research coin, and it should be like next to each other to mentally make sense, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely a way to make it more obvious what the benefits are for people to add content to ResearchHub. There's a couple of ways we could probably go about that. We'll chat internally though and see if there's something that we can come up with. Cool. Yeah, so thank you guys again for this extra time too. I think this is all super valuable feedback. Does anybody else have anything else before we sign off? Cool. Until next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Right.